But yeah, when I made my corny joke about teams cooling off, it's the Mariners. I mean, we've talked about them, their 14-game win streak. They were the talk of the town for the past few weeks, and even the
Mhm.
talk of some national media.
Yeah.
They were our stars of the week the last 2 weeks unanimously, right? And things were looking good. And I was kind of worried. I'm like, hey, All-Star break's great. You know, it's great to see Julio recognized. Great for him to participate in the home run derby that we'll talk about here in a second. Ty France to finally get that honor. Great for those guys to have that, right? And they get a little bit of a break having, played as many games as they had. But I'm worried that, you've got all this momentum. You just want to keep going, right?
Yeah.
And so, anyway, we'll start with the home run derby as that took place on Monday after we finish up the show here. So Julio Rodriguez participated on that in July 18th. Julio finished second in the entire derby, falling to champion Juan Soto. He defeated Pete Alonso along the way. He had 230 home run rounds, 81 homers total to Juan Soto's, I believe, 52. So you can see the big disparity there. At the end of the day, we'll get to it in relation to Julio's injury that I'm sure if you follow the team, follow us on social media, you'll know that took place. I you're young and you've got that power, and he wanted to put that show on. I mean, what's his whole nickname, right? I know that on the
J-Rod.
broadcast they kept saying J Rod J Show, and that was just I'm like,
Yeah.
hey man,
It
I
drove
get
me
it. He's a
crazy.
Seattle guy, but you can give him his due respect, and by just knowing his nickname. I mean,
Mhm.
it's his Instagram handle for God's sake.
Right.
But I think at the end of the day, maybe I'm being corny, maybe I'm setting up the story here, but the All-Star game is in Seattle next year, and he can win it in front of the Seattle fan.
No, I mean that was the silver lining in watching his performance and him not winning it all is it is in Seattle next year. So
Yeah.
a lot of people look at it that way.
So, I get that a lot of guys, like, I mean, you look at some of the best home run hitters this year, like Aaron Judge, guys like him aren't necessarily in the Derby. And I mean, that's my thing. Julio's young. He wants to do it, get it out of the way, win it next year. And then, sure, maybe he's done. I mean, if he wants to continue to pursue that title and he's able to manage that on top of the regular season workload,
Mhm.
that's his choice, though.
Yeah.
It's you get all these people on Twitter, and we'll get to it again with the injury, but it's like, oh, he shouldn't have done that. Are you the one in the All-Star game? Are you the one who has that opportunity? No. So you don't get to make that decision. I'm not
Right.
making decisions for other people. So yes, that took place. The All-Star game itself, the American League won their 9th straight game, winning 3-2. Julio goes over 2 in that game, gets a couple catches in center field. Ty France goes over 1 in his lone plate appearance. And then, so we get to this Astros series, and we talked about the All-Star game right there. Obviously, Seattle hosts next year's Midsummer Classic. And the logo, I mean, you can kind of already see it. I've already got my sticker on here.
No way. I didn't even see that.
I've got the sticker on, so you've kind of seen it, and I'm sure again, if you follow us on social media, if you've followed the Mariners at all, you know that the logo dropped. If you have not seen it, here is next year's All-Star Game logo. You can see obviously that Mount Rainier is prominent there. They've got some nice trees. I'm assuming they're evergreen trees.
Yeah.
Right.
Makes sense.
The Space Noodle. There's the sun peeking out. I know that there's some controversy. My buddy Paul doesn't like the All-Star, the little shine right there in between All-Star. Because it's very similar to the Tampa Bay Rays logo. They have the same little twinkle. So I get that, but I like the colors. I like having Mount Rainier in there. I'm okay with it. I think it's solid, and I'm looking forward to the festivities next year. That'll be a lot of fun. It'll bring great revenue to the city. It should help improve I'm sure they'll add more improvements to the ballpark like they always do, which they took away our press box and moved us upstairs. But it'll be a lot of fun. Will be exciting. That was part of the pregame festivities. So for this Astros series. So let's look at that Astros series starting on July 22nd, Friday, with a sold-out house of 45,000 plus. The Mariners would lose that first game, losing their win streak in a 5-2 loss earlier in the game. Third baseman Eugenio Suarez going 1 hit, 1 RBI, and 1 walk. So tough one there. You lose the win streak, not able to tie or go past the 2001 team's 15-game win streak. But at the end of the day, it's a win streak. It's baseball. It's 162 games. You're going to lose eventually, right? Not the end of the world necessarily, you think, Right. July 23rd, looking to bounce back from that loss in game 2. Unfortunately, could not in a 3-1 loss. Player of the game, designated hitter of that game, Carlos Santana, hitting 1 hit, 1 run, 1 RBI, a solo shot to put the Mariners on the board. Unfortunately, Seattle can't do anything after that. And then, so you lost the series already. You look to salvage at least one game against Houston, unable to do so in the July 24th loss, an 8-5 loss. So in that game, you see 5 runs. The first 2 games, 2 and 1 run, you think, the offense just is sputtering. They score 5 runs. They were all from the 7th inning up, though. Yeah. And my main issue with that game is Robbie Ray had been great for like a month's time. And it's actually kind of ironic because the June 6th game in Houston against the Astros, he had a bad outing, but there was a mound meeting he had, and then things just sort of clicked for him.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny that his that stretch is bookended by the Astros, because this one he got thumped. He gave up his most runs since the game in Chicago against the White Sox when there was there was a ton of rain. It was his shortest outing since 2019, where it only went 1 inning, I believe. So it was a tough one, and the Astros kind of have Robbie Ray's number. I mean, they hit 300 plus against him. They have great numbers against Robbie Ray. So it's kind of a bugaboo. But another negative thing, we're looking at negative things here. Another thing with Ray and the Astros is over his next 4 outings, Ray plays at Houston versus the Yankees. I think versus the Astros, and then at the Yankees.
Oh, goodness.
So 2 against the Yankees, 2 against the Astros.
That's rough.
That's rough. But, at the end of the day, this is a guy that won the Cy Young last year, and you paid, $150 million or so to? Mm-hmm. You have to get what you paid for. This is, again, the second half has just, quite literally just started, and you're going to play a lot of teams that aren't in playoff spots and won't be in playoff spots, from now until October. But these games could matter because, the Yankees are going to be in their top of the division. The Astros, got some comment last week about being wishy-washy with potential of taking the division. It's not completely out of the picture if this team is able to win these games against Houston. So I know who you are. It's not out of the picture. I get looking at one game at a time, but you can also be greedy at times. These next 4 games for Ray are going to be huge, because you've these few weeks right after the All-Star break are difficult because you played Houston, played Texas, obviously take care of business. You go on the road to play Houston. You've got the Yankees coming to town the beginning of August. You go to New York to play the Yankees. It's tough. These are some really good baseball teams, some of the best teams in baseball, so you're going to need them. You're going to need your starting rotation that has carried you, right, for most of the season.
Yeah.
So you're going to need them. Player of the game for the 21st, second baseman Abraham Toro, 1 hit, 2 runs, 2 RBIs, and a walk. We get to player of the week here. Not our usual suspects necessarily, for me at least, not our usual suspects, but it's not like necessarily anybody had that spectacular of a week numbers-wise. I went with Dylan Moore this week. Moore kind of playing a utility role, played some outfield, played some infield, had to play center field for Julio Rodriguez, and we'll get to that injury news, which is next. 9 plate appearances. Moore had 4 hits, 1 run, a double, 5 total bases, a 4.44 average, a 500 even on base percentage, a 5.56 slugging. Both of those combined to make a 1.056 OPS. So Moore, has been... He's kind of, him and Sam Haggerty are kind of like super utility guys because you can play him in the outfield. You can play him in the infield anywhere, which is good. It's good. Any successful ball club is going to have those guys. You just don't want to have them have to play as much as these guys are playing. Mm-hmm. You want to be able to put Mitch Haniger in right field and not Sam Haggerty. You want Kyle Lewis to be in a DH spot instead of some of these guys, right? That hasn't been the case due to injury. Kyle Lewis is back, thankfully. Mitch Haniger just completed a 3-game stretch for a rehab assignment, but there's also no timetable for him. And then also we could be looking at trades because the deadline is coming up. So There's a lot
Add
going
some
on in
more to the
Mariners
mix.
land. What made you go with Ty France? Was it numbers based?
It was completely numbers based this week. Like you said, no one had like a spectacular performance. So Ty France had 12 plate appearances, 3 hits, 1 run, 1 home run, 1 RBI, 6 total bases, a 250 average, 357 on base percentage, 500 slugging, and 857 on base plus slugging. So yeah, just went to the numbers for this week.
Can't blame you on that one. Because again, yeah, I mean, looking at it, not like anybody blew it away. It was a tough offensive series against Houston. I mean, you played against, I mean, Framber Valdez on Sunday was an all-star this year. Justin Verlander's a surefire Hall of Famer. Jose Urquidy, you know, the Mariners have beat him up this year, and they didn't do it. He was able to get the better of them this time around. There was one instance where the bases were loaded, I believe, and they didn't capitalize, and it was Sam Haggerty striking out. And it's like, if you put Mitch Haniger in there, does Mitch Haniger strike out? So I don't know. It's injuries, it's tough, but you've got to weather the storm. And at the end of the day, at the current moment, you are in a wild card spot. So you've got to get back to gaining ground and continuing to build on that.
For sure.
In terms of injury-related news, as talked about on the 22nd, Julio Rodriguez is a last-minute scratch, and I mean last minute, like last minute. No media didn't find out, the fans didn't find out until players were running out onto the field, essentially, due to left wrist soreness. So he missed the entire Houston series. He reportedly felt pain in his wrist during one of the Rangers games in that last series before the All-Star break. Adrenaline pushed him through the home run derby, which is 81 homers. 81 homers on a sore wrist.
Impressive.
Which, you know, it's ridiculous to me because, you know, there was, is he really hurt? Oh, why didn't you pinch hit him? You know, why didn't he go out there? Make him go out there, you know, which is pretty insane to me to think about because, you know, your sacrifice for this Houston, I think a lot of emphasis was put on this Houston series as if it was make or break, which I don't buy into. Because you're right off the All-Star break. And I get it. People want that streak to continue. Who doesn't, right? You're playing I get it with all the cheating. I get that with Houston. But this is still a damn talented ball club. And you can't just sit here, they cheated. You're going to have to play them at the end of the day. You know, they've got great pitching. Even with the banging the trash cans, they've got great pitching. Justin Verlander, he's having a great year. He's I believe, I don't think he's quite 40. He might be 40, and he's pumping 99 still. That's pretty unheard of. You know, I think the last time someone did that and is like 35 plus was 2011. It's 11 years ago.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of baseball played in that time, and no one else was able to pump 99 at his age group. You know, this is a good ball club, and I'm not worried. I said it in the article last night for the game. I'm not worried. You've got the entire rest of the second half. You know, I know that there's parts of the fandom that's hitting the giant, you know, where's the red flashing emoji, the red light, you know?
Oh my gosh, the like alert, like siren thing.
Yeah, I'm like, no, man, you know, we're in July. We play till early October. You're playing a lot of bad teams. Obviously, you have to take care of the business. You can't just write it off, you know, but I'm not hitting the panic button. Would like Julio back though. With that being said,
did we get an update on that at all as to like how long he might be resting?
The hope is that he can play today.
Yeah.
So we'll see about that. But you know, I know with Mitch Haniger at least going for the rehab assignment, there's no timetable as well. But Julio is expected to be back today. Jesse Winker twisted his right ankle in that game against Houston, and they're hoping that he's able to avoid an injuryless time on the injury list, but we don't have official word on that either. So kind of wait and touch and go. Also on the 22nd, Kyle Lewis was activated off of the 7-day IL. So as I mentioned, good to see Kyle back. As we get to the rest of the MLB draft, heading into team news on the 18th. So we'll just go off the names for you here of the selected draft picks on the 6th round. Pick 186, Josh Hood, a shortstop out of North Carolina State, as you can see pictured here. Round 7, pick 216, Hogan Windish, a second baseman out of UNC Greensboro. Round 8, 246, pick Tatum Levens, a catcher out of the University of Pittsburgh. Round 9, pick number 276, Tyler Gow, a right-handed pitcher out of Jessera. How do you say that? Do you know how to say that? I don't know how to say that.
No, I think you.
Sarah, Catholic High School. Round 10, pick number 306, Bill Knight, outfielder out of Mercer University, the same college that Kyle Lewis came out of. Round 11, pick number 336, Marcelo Perez, a right-handed pitcher out of TCU, Texas Christian University. Round 12, pick number 366, Troy Taylor, a right-handed pitcher out of UC Irvine. Round 13, pick number 396, Darren Bowen, a right-handed pitcher out of UNC Pembroke. Round 14, pick number 426, Tyler Cleveland, a right-handed pitcher out of Central Arkansas. Round 15, pick number 456, Blake Rambush, a third baseman out of Auburn University. Round 16, pick number 486, Jacob McNary, right-handed pitcher out of Alabama. Round 17, pick number 516, Stephen Wraith, a right-handed pitcher out of the University of Washington. Round 18, pick number 546, Brandon Schaefer, a left-handed pitcher out of University of North Carolina. Round 19, pick 576, Curtis Washington Jr., an outfielder from Purdue. And then wrapping it up in round 20 with pick number 606, Nick Zona, an infielder out of James Madison University. So I think we talked about it last week, but it's kind of tough to get the excitement out of the MLB draft when there's 20 rounds. There's a lot going on. And again, a lot of these guys won't see the big league club until a few years down the road. So I get it. Some of these guys, maybe when we're here, even maybe a year from now, we'll hear more of them in Everett, in Arkansas, and Tacoma. Maybe with the big league club, but I feel like that's kind of pretty hard. As mentioned, on the 20th, Mitch Haniger joined the Aqua Sox up in Everett in high A ball for a 3-game rehab assignment. On the weekend, Mitch went 3 hit for 9 with 1 run, 1 homer, and 2 RBIs. So good to see Mitch back in action, but again, not entirely sure when he'll be back with the Mariners themselves. I know there's talk that he's going to go and join the Rainiers now, and while playing both some DH and outfield, so getting him active. But again, no direct timetable on that. In terms of roster-related moves on the 22nd, in a corresponding move to Kyle Lewis being activated, outfielder Justin Upton was optioned and then elected free agency instead. So best of luck to Justin. I know he played a minimal role, but he had a home run to tie the game against. He was part of the streak. That's all that matters.
Yeah.
So thank you for your contributions, Mr. Upton. In league-related news, Juan Soto. I know we've talked about Juan Soto before. I know with the losses, there might be heightened expectation for that. I'll admit it. I was feeling some pressure to do it too. Because again, let's look at it this way. He is closer to Jared Kelenich's age. He's 23, and he's a game changer. So you look at your outfield, right? You've got Jesse Winker in left, Julio Rodriguez in center, and Juan Soto in right. Mitch Haniger bumps down to DH. You probably have to send Kyle Lewis in that trade, which would break my heart because I love Kyle Lewis.
But you're warming up to the idea?
At the right price. But also, here's my, remember what I said with Garoppolo? Yeah. My hookup with this, you have to extend him. Because if you just trade for him and he's a rental, you did nothing. He was a rental, even if you make the playoffs. Sure, fine, you break the streak. But you cost your farm to break the streak? No. So give up. I'd say if you're able to give up a guy like Kyle Lewis, you got to throw in probably another big leaguer in there. Maybe a guy like George Kirby. I know some said Logan Gilbert, but that would be ludicrous. I would stop right there. I'd hang up the phone. Maybe 2 or 3 of the prospects. 2 or 3. Okay. Not 4 or 5. That's ridiculous. You have to take on a salary comp, which we'd have to do. But none of it matters if you don't sign him to an extension. In that negotiation, you have to say, hey, Juan, so insert deal. Okay. Pen to paper. All right. Send the trade through. Go ahead. Come to Seattle. We'll put you in whatever damn number you want. 44 is taken, That's what I'm entirely contingent on. I admit it. I don't have a mock for you. I don't. I can look that up and we can talk about it because the trade deadline's coming up. I can get that ready for next week, right? But at the end of the day, none of these proposals matter unless, like, the little asterisk says contract details. Because I don't want him for club control for 3 years. That's fine. I want him to be a Mariner.
How realistic would that be, though? Like, even talking about him possibly coming to Seattle? Like, have they shown interest?
Yes. They were one of the 7 teams to inquire about him. The Cardinals and St. Louis are regarded as favorites. So realistic, yeah, they've reached out. I don't know how heavy they're pursuing it though. Because I know Jerry DePoto's talked about adding in their starting pitcher since they sent George Kirby down.
Mm-hmm.
So it's funny. George was actually in the clubhouse
I
on
remember you
Friday,
tweeting that, yeah.
and I was like, "Oh, hi, George," and I talked to him, and he remembered me, so that was cool. But I don't know.
No
I know they're
idea why he was
managing
there.
his innings. I know he's still got a locker up there at T-Mobile Park. So, but I'm sure it's. I mean, he's spending time with the Rainiers. I'm sure just because of how close they are. Why not?
Yeah.
Right? He's on the 40 man. So, anyway, so in terms of Juan Soto, outside of talking about his potential to the Mariners, on the 19th, the Nationals did not fly Soto to the All-Star game. They didn't give him like a private jet. They sent him on commercial after he turned down a deal.
Flight and then seeing Juan Soto
I don't know what I do.
Sitting in a row right next to you.
On the 23rd, San Diego was viewed as the most motivated team in the chase for Soto. Padres have taken an aggressive approach to that trade market. The Yankees are officially in the race, which I roll my eyes to, because if you've reached out to them, it doesn't necessarily mean anything. I can reach out to you about buying your house, but it doesn't mean I'm serious. Doesn't mean it's going to happen, right? I don't have the money for that. Don't tell me. On the 19th, Aaron Judge hinted at a Yankees exit. The slugging outfielder says, "Don't be upset when asked about potentially not signing an extension with New York. Does not give a clear answer in regards to signing with the team long term."
Too vague.
I only threw that in there because there was this what's a word for like a miracle? There's like a term for it. It's like a shot in the dark. It's like a long shot that he could end up in Seattle. Hey, I'd give them money to Aaron Judge. Take my money. That's in free agency though. I'm not trading for him. God no.
Yeah.
On the 20th, Albert Pujols, in his legendary last year, earns another accolade, receiving the Muhammad Ali Sports Humanitarian Award at the ESPY. So congratulations to Albert. On the 22nd, this one's kind of interesting. We got a photo for you. The shift, cutting down the shift in the minor leagues has begun. So you can see here, this looks like a normal baseball field, right? But teams are placing a pie slice, which you can see there's these two lines over here. There's these two lines that are showing where the infield cannot stand. So you have to go in your standard positions, which is, I mean, I get it. I get cutting down the shift, but and this is in the minor league, so I'm sure that like when the big league level comes, it won't be like that. But it's interesting to see how that's being cut, how they're going to hold that to it. Also on the 22nd, as a meme, Toronto put up a football score against the Boston Red Sox. The Blue Jays won 28-5 at Fenway, which is...
I had to double take when I saw that score.
It's brutal.
Yeah.
Brutal. On the 23rd, teams are calling the Angels about Shohei Ohtani, but Anaheim does not have any intention to pick up the phone in relation to trades like that. There was a second report later that the Angels are expecting several proven commodity veterans in a trade for Ohtani so that they can keep their playoff aspirations alive, which I laugh at because the Angels aren't going to do anything.
That was
looking
not wishy-washy.
No. The Angels are wasting the careers of Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani. You can quote me on that because it's been happening for years with Mike Trout. Looking ahead, the Mariners play it's like the 3 series against Texas. The Houston series this past week, and then 2 series against the Rangers, and then the Astros. This next series is at home, obviously, July 25th versus 27th versus the Rangers. The first 2 games of the series being 7:10 starts. The 27th game is a Wednesday matinee at 12:40. And then the team heads on the road for a 4-game set against the Astros, looking to play better than they did this past home series. July 28th through 31st, the 28th and 29th are 5:10 p.m. Pacific time starts. July 30th is a 4:10 start, and then the 31st is an 11:10 a.m. start.